Physics obviously plays a very important role in sports. I guess the most obvious is if you consider a sport like golf, where you hit a ball, you apply a force to the ball and you can kind of predict the trajectory of the ball. Common in sports like hockey or in hurling or GAA, so lots of sports kind of see that. I guess in athletics, probably the one thing that springs to mind where physics played probably the biggest role in athletics was actually in high jump. So in high jump, there was kind of a very standard technique where people would run up and they would try to scissors the bar. And you know, they'd have a certain height and there was a certain world record. And then kind of a new technique came along, which was the Fosbury flop. And the Fosbury flop actually, it's really clever because it means that you can get over a bar higher than you can lift your center of mass. So when athletes do the Fosbury flop, their center of mass never goes over the bar. But they can kind of bend their back backwards, and by doing that, that allows them to get to a higher height. And yeah, once this technique was developed, the world records were smashed, and kind of within an Olympic cycle, everyone in the world had switched to this new technique. And yeah, there's a huge amount of physics underlying that. So I think across all sports, there's a lot of data when it comes to running. You've got splits, you've got paces, you've got heart rates, you've got distances. So I think the ability to kind of manage large quantities of data and work out, you know, if it's a VO2 max, kind of what heart rate you should be running at, and, you know, decide, okay, maybe I'm running too quickly, or I can maintain this pace, or I can't. So it's not necessarily physics specific, but it's definitely kind of a science mindset and the ability to work with large quantities of data, particularly if your brain's full of lactic acid. It can really help you, say, for not going out too hard in a race or not blowing up in your first rep in training. I'm actually doing a PhD in quantum biosensing. So I take really, really small diamonds and I put them inside cancer cells and use it to measure temperature and viscosity. So what I really care about is, say, how the viscoelasticity of the cell changes as you change the temperature. And actually, this has kind of become somewhat relevant in the sport of track and field over the last couple of years. In about 2019, there was a big breakthrough where they changed the shoe technology. And when they did this, they moved kind of away from these really minimalistic shoes to having shoes which have carbon plates in them, which kind of adds a spring, as well as having foam, which has elastic properties such that it retains some of the energy. So when you land on the ground, it actually propels you off the ground. So instead of the energy being absorbed by the track, it's kind of shot forward and helps you to run, to keep moving forward and to keep the speed up. So yeah, so it's kind of funny. I didn't realize it, you know, when I started my PhD, but actually a lot of the measurements that I do on a nanoscale in cells for rheology are probably being done by kind of shoe companies all over the world when they're trying to measure the elastic properties of their shoes.